Shalom everybody, welcome to the Israel Brief. I'm always delighted to be in your company. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, brought to you every Monday to Thursday by these guys, lay of the land. So let's get into those top stories. We are on day 369 since the 7th of October 2023. I can't believe that we have passed the 1-year mark already. And for 101 hostages, we want them home now. It is the middle of a very, very holy time in the Jewish calendar. Last week, we celebrated Rosh Hashanah, the start of the Jewish New Year. And on Friday night, we will begin Yom Kippur, and all through Saturday to Saturday night. Next week will be Sukkot, following that Simchat Torah, which is also in the Hebrew calendar the anniversary of the 7th of October attacks. And it is meant to be a joyful time with family. And for many of us, especially for us in Israel, we are so aware that so many families have large gaping wounds that can never be healed. And 101 hostages remain captive in unbearable conditions. We want them home now. So let's take a look at those top stories, and much like he did with the people of Iran a couple of weeks ago, Prime Minister Netanyahu released a video message, this time to the people of Lebanon. He opened up his address saying, "Do you remember when Lebanon was known as the Pearl of the Middle East?" He says, "Well, I do." And I'll read to you some of the transcript of what he said. He says, he urges the Lebanese people to stand up against Hezbollah. He went on to say that Iran has basically conquered Lebanon through its proxy Hezbollah. And he says, "You, the Lebanese people, you stand at a significant crossroads. It is your choice. You can now take back your country. You can return it to a path of peace and prosperity. If you don't, Hezbollah will continue to try to fight Israel from densely populated areas at your expense. Don't let these terrorists destroy your future any more than they already have. Stand up and take your country back. You have an opportunity that hasn't existed in decades." Now, if we remember what he said in his speech to the Iranian people, he also said that their freedom will come sooner than expected. So there seems to be a new tactic by the Prime Minister to speak directly to the people, reassuring them that we have no quarrel with them. Our quarrel is with Hezbollah. And he said that Hezbollah has been firing indiscriminately at Israelis, Jews, Christians, Druze, Muslims, and has killed many Israelis, and that Israel is fighting back. But went on to reiterate that for people of Lebanon and the people of Israel, Hezbollah must be eradicated. What was very, very interesting in the speech is that he confirmed what we were waiting for an answer since last week, and that was the answer to the question, was the new successor to Hassan Nasrallah, who was eliminated several weeks ago in that massive bombing of his HQ, if his successor was eliminated. Well, Netanyahu went on to say, "We have eliminated Nasrallah's successor and the successor's successor." So he confirmed that bit of information. I mean, Israel has effectively eliminated the top echelon of Hezbollah, and then that was that infamous pager and walkie-talkie attacks, which Israel has not claimed responsibility for, that also seriously impaired, we will use the word, a lot of the senior Hezbollah fighters. So really, really interesting developments there. And we will see, we really hope that the Lebanese people understand that there's nothing more than what the Israeli people want is for Lebanon to join our Abrahamic circle, our circle of peace, and have peace with our neighbors to the north. We now turn to the Gaza Strip, and the Hebrew media today published news that flyers were dropped all over the Gaza Strip addressed to Yahya Sinwar, saying that there is no tunnel deep enough for you. We will get you. You will basically face the same fate as other eliminated terror chiefs. It is still unknown whether or not Sinwar is alive or dead. Israeli officials believe that he is likely to be alive. There were some reports a couple of weeks ago that he was possibly dead, but forensic tests carried out on bodies brought in from an Israeli airstrike, none of them were Sinwar. So it is believed he is still alive. Now, the Wall Street Journal are reporting that he has given the directive to Hamas terrorists to start to carry out suicide attacks against Israelis. If you recall, in the early 2000s, during the Second Intifada, suicide attacks were commonplace almost every day in the state of Israel, which is why we have the fence, what the anti-Israel mob call the apartheid wall, that security fence that runs along parts of the country to try and keep these would-be suicide bombers out. Now, several weeks ago, a Hamas operative or terrorist tried to detonate himself outside a synagogue in Tel Aviv. He succeeded in only killing himself and lightly injuring another person. So we are on alert, especially during these high holy days, and the sooner that Sinwar can be eliminated, the better. We now go back to the north, and a couple has been killed as a result of shrapnel during a massive Hezbollah rocket barrage on the town of Kiryat Shmona. Locals say that the couple were walking their dogs and tried to run to shelter but did not get there on time. Meanwhile, yesterday, Hezbollah claimed responsibility for one of the biggest barrages of rockets since the start of the war that saw at least 100 rockets fired towards the northern city of Haifa and surrounds. And if you follow the reports of the rocket attacks, they seem to pick different areas every day, whether it's Haifa. Earlier today, it was Kasaria, the Carmel, that region, and then it will move to Tiberias, Akko, over there. So it looks like, and this is just my assessment, it moves in a different pattern. However, there are some reports, and one of them is in the New York Post, that Hezbollah's Deputy Secretary General, Naim Qassem, may be a bit nervous that he might be eliminated along with his compatriots, has signaled that Hezbollah may be ready for ceasefire talks. Now, we haven't had any confirmations from Israel's side if in fact this message has been received, but this is being reported in the New York Post. And finally, I just want to end today's show paying tribute to the most extraordinary lady who passed away today. Her name was Lily Ebot. She was 101 years old, a Holocaust survivor who survived Auschwitz and went on to make a new life for herself in the United Kingdom and became not just a great-grandmother, but a great-great-grandmother. Some of you may be familiar with Lily through her great-grandson Dov Foreman, educating millions around the world on TikTok, teaching them about the Holocaust, teaching them about tolerance and peace. And she really has been an inspiration and a symbol of overcoming darkness to be a resounding light. Those of you who follow the British royal family might be familiar that several years ago, when King Charles commissioned portraits of several Holocaust survivors, one of them was Lily, and he wrote the foreword to her book, Lily's Story. She was an exceptional woman, a woman of inspiration, a righteous woman, a woman that we in Hebrew would call an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. And may her blessing be eternally blessed. She leaves a magnificent legacy, not just through her work, but through her family. Our thoughts, our prayers are with them. May her memory be eternally blessed. Thank you, Lily. You lit up our world. And now for today's audience question. It comes from Gary from Johannesburg. He asks, have people started to return to the kibbutzim? Yes, Gary, not all of them, but many of them have started to return. There are some who don't feel safe enough to return, and I think that's on a kibbutz by kibbutz basis, and also whether or not the kibbutzim are still used by the military or not. I know that near Oz that I was on last week, that they still have an army presence there, and many of the residents aim to come back. Kibbutz Be'eri, we know that many of the residents are back. In fact, they have started bulldozing some of the homes that were decimated by Hamas. They will, from what I understand, keep some of them for a memorial, and they've started building homes in another part of the kibbutz for the surviving families. Kibbutz Kfar Aza, about 50 or so residents have returned. What I'm hearing from a lot of the people who have returned is they might have a house, but they don't have a home. And I think it will take a lot of time. Still parts of Kfar Aza where you can see the decimated homes. I don't know how many families would have the strength to return to a home where their loved ones were murdered. From what I understand, in Kfar Aza, they will possibly keep the young neighborhood because it's quite separate to the rest of the houses. Kibbutzim like Nir Am, where I was a few weeks ago, they have returned. Gvulot have returned, and others like Mefalsim, Netiv Asara, Kerem Shalom, it is still unclear. I think it all depends on whether or not the residents feel safe enough to return, safe enough and also emotionally ready. But yes, many of them have started to return. So don't forget, if you have a question, you can pop it in the comments section below, or be in touch with us via our website at www.layoftheland.online, and you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter through our website as well. Our Facebook page is at Lottel's site, our YouTube channel right here at the Israel Brief. We're on X at Lay of the Land 5. We're on my Instagram at Rolene_Marks, on my LinkedIn at Rolene Marks. I think we're pretty much everywhere. And guys, all that remains is for me to say have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.